Hello, welcome back to Foos Entertainment for my next review, which of course is day 5 of the Dune Chronicles. So basically, Dune Chronicles episode 5. You know, we talked a lot about the first novel and how all the adaptations and how they compare to one another. But like I said, the saga of Dune does not end with that first book. And just give me a second because I do want to get a couple more books. Now, this particular miniseries, which is 2003's Children of Dune, which I might add was how most of the world was introduced to Scottish actor James McAvoy. He would go on to star in the X-Men prequels, as well as the comic villain in the M. Night Shyamalan trilogy, which includes Unbreakable, Split, and Glass. And has done a lot of better stuff, including Wanted with Angelina Jolie. Wonderful Scottish actor that the whole world knows all about. Alright, well, obviously, we all want to talk about previously on Dune. But let's do that anyways. Previously on Dune, we finished up the third concluding part of the 2000 Emmy Award-winning miniseries, Frank Herbert's Dune. And well, the miniseries was so popular and had such a cult following that 3 years later, they decided to make another miniseries. Now, is it as long as Frank Herbert's Dune? No. It's long, but not that long. It's kind of dark lit here, so let's see if I can find it. Give me a second. Trusty flashlight here so I can read how long this freaking thing is. Ah. 256 minutes long. So, it's not 295 minutes long, like Frank Herbert's Dune is, but it is 265 minutes long, so it's still quite a watch. But of course, it's over the course of 3 episodes. So, it's going to take a little bit of time to review this, because I'm not going to do what everybody else does, you know, watch the whole thing and just do one review. It was so fun going ahead and reviewing the last miniseries over the course of 3 days. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Alright, well, this episode is entitled Muad'Dib's Second Crusade. Now, it might as well have been entitled this, Dune Messiah, because that's basically what episode 1 of this miniseries right here is. Episode 1 of Children of Dune is a direct adaptation of Dune Messiah, which is the second novel in the novel series, the Dune Chronicles. So we're going to do something actually very, very fun. First, I'm going to go ahead and read the plot synopsis on the back of this. Then I'm going to basically describe in a lot of ways the entire plot of the first episode by reading the back of the book. Against a backdrop of interplanetary intrigue, rebellion, and betrayal, the future of humanity itself rests with the children of Dune in this sweeping tale of a visionary sci-fi adventure, a spectacular sequel to the Emmy Award-winning Frank Herbert's Dune, starring Academy Award winner Susan Sarandon. Now, she's villain. She's not really the main character. Um, this is presented in 16 by 9 widescreen on a ratio of 177.1. And then you have the option of Dolby Digital 5.1 surround sound, or its original 2.0 Dolby Surround presentation it had when it aired. Right, so that's the plot synopsis of the entire miniseries. Now it goes a lot more into other stuff, but this is an interesting, unique way to actually talk about the plot of the first episode. They call, like I said, the first episode, they call it Muad'Dib's Second Crusade. I call it Dune Messiah. So what is Dune Messiah about? Okay. Dune Messiah continues the story of Paul Atreides, better known and feared as the man. Muad'Dib is emperor of the known universe. He possesses more power than a single man was ever meant to wield. Worshipped is a religious icon by the Fremen. Paul faces the eternity of, I would say the enemies of the political houses he dismissed. When he assumed the throne in a conspiracy conducted within his own sphere of influence. And even as House Atreides begins to crumble around him from the manipulations of his enemies, the true threat to Paul comes to his lover Chani and the unborn heir to his family's dynasty. Well, that almost actually describes the first episode. That actually almost does. They did take some liberties. They did take a lot of liberties and changed a few things, but that's basically what episode 1's about. It's quite literally there. But of course, when you read the back of a novel, it doesn't really give you everything that's in the novel. Like, for example, is not one heir, it's two. Hence why it's called Children of Dune on the third book, not Child of Dune. So you have that. You also have the fact that it goes more in depth on all the plots and conspiracies and why there are plots and conspiracies even within the empire that Muad'Dib created. Has a lot to do with a whole lot of intrigue. So yeah, that is definitely a very interesting episode. This is also the first glimpse in what we see of Alia being a villain, kind of being prepped for it. But what I really like about the sequel book Dune Messiah is a much more serious and darker book in a lot of ways than Dune. Dune kind of, sets things up, but Dune Messiah is a more interesting book to me. And it is critically underrated. I mean, literally, out of all 6 Dune books, the least talked about and the least celebrated one of them is the second book. And this is a very, very important book because this is the book that really sets up all of the others. I mean, Dune, the thing about Dune and why it's so, why people have adapted it so many times is the fact that Frank Herbert's Dune, the book, kind of stands alone in his own little corner over here. Why the other 5 books are kind of like, you have to read this to understand this. You have to read that to understand this, and such and so forth. Now, is Dune critical to read before you go on to this? Yes, and of course, obviously, the very big one, which is the third book, Children of Dune. Yeah, you definitely do. And that's what's so ambitious about this miniseries. It's the fact that this miniseries tells the story of all of this. It tells the story of this, followed by this. And that just kind of talks about what I'm talking about with how they all go together quite well. You see, to really truly understand this, you have to read this. To truly understand the other 3 books, which have never been adapted to the screen in any medium, which they had because they would have been more interesting. But we'll get on to that once we get to the end. And what I mean by the end is after we review this miniseries in the 2 new movies. Then I'll talk about the what could have and should have been, happened when it comes to the Sci-Fi Channel making these adaptations. Or I might go ahead and hint on it at the 3rd episode of doing this. And I'll be honest, I'll probably talk about how they could have made God the Emperor, Heretics, and Chapter House of Doom, which are the titles of the other 3 books, how they could have made that work, continuing the direction that this miniseries and the previous one went, and how it would have been cool to see. But we'll get there when we get to the last episode of this. And like I said, the plastic napkins that I read on the back of Doom Messiah is very much the plot of the 1st episode. But what's cool about this is some of the cool stuff that happens with Paul Atreides, for example. Like within the 1st episode, much like in the book, some radical Fremen try to do a assassination attempt on Paul. Assassination attempt on Muad'Dib, and it doesn't work. But what they do is they blind him. His eyes are literally gone. He no longer has eyes to see. But because of his special supernatural powers and stuff, even without eyes, he can still see, and he sees and has vision to be able to see everything through, basically, how he has visions of the future is kind of used as a means of eyesight. And of course, when Chani dies, his ability to see completely goes away. Which brings into one of the more interesting parts about comparing the book to screen when it comes to other characters. And this is where it gets fun again. Princess Ilan, or whatever, the princess, the emperor's daughter that Paul married, but his real lover, the one he actually calls wife, is Chani, of course. In this miniseries, in this 1st episode, she's kind of looked upon as a villain. But what's interesting is she's not really a villain in this miniseries that much, which is definitely a liberty they took. It changes from book to screen. I mean, in the book here, she is a downright villain. And I'll be honest with you, out of the books, I've really only dived into the first 2. So when it comes down to the liberties that they took on the 3rd book in episodes 2 and 3, the one, of course, standout one is Princess Ilan, a protagonist or a villain in the 3rd book. I might go ahead and do some research before I do the next episode, the next review, and I might go ahead and try to find out if that is the case. And of course, this is another thing I'm very, very interested in on the 3rd Dune movie is how are they going to do that and go ahead and blind Paul, but yet he has the ability to see through some supernatural means. And this one right here, I'm very interested to see how they bring Jason Momoa back into the world of Dune after his character gets killed, obviously, in the 1st movie, due to the fact that the main villain of the 2nd book, the Talasku, actually created a clone, a goner of Duncan Idaho. And so there's a lot of fun stuff I'm really looking forward to seeing happen in the the next movie. But that's about it for this. I'll go ahead and do a overall quality of the DVD set when we get to the third episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed my views and taking you further into the lore of Dune with Children of Dune, episode 1, and I'll see you guys next time.